Hey there, happy Halloween. Today is actually my 37th birthday, and I thought something kind of fun that I could do would be to share with you the 5 most important things that I've learned in the 37 years I've been alive so far. So here we go. The first thing is to be present more, right? We want to live in the past. A lot of times we think about things that have happened to us, good and bad, or we're tempted to live in the future, trying to think about where we're going to be in next year or in the following year, what's going to happen next month or next week. But life is always happening right now. So I've learned the importance of being where you are and bringing my attention into the moment I'm in. That allows me to be present with my family, to be present with friends when I'm in front of them or at work or whatever it is I'm doing, to be in that moment, because life is always happening right now. And it's a more fulfilling life to be engaged with the present. Number 2 is the power of gratitude. Whatever you believe about life, gratitude has an insane amount of power. There's something about it that when you start a gratitude practice and engaging with that, it attracts more things to be grateful for. So that can start with something as simple as, even if life seems terrible at the moment to you and your perspective, waking up and just realizing that a lot of things had to happen for you to be alive this morning. We have to get oxygen from somewhere, so trees and grass and all those things have to be providing it. We have to have food to be able to be alive, even if it's not ideal situation. So just these little things like, I'm alive this morning and I'm thankful. You keep going through a list of things to be grateful for until you feel it. And as soon as you feel that sense of gratitude, it just starts to turn into something incredible. And life is way, way better lived in a state of gratitude. Number 3 is to always be curious, or to be more curious. A lot of the problems we face in life are a lack of curiosity. So you encounter a problem, we encounter a problem, and we don't ask enough questions about it. We just kind of accept it for what it is. Your brain tells you a story about something that happened in the past, and you're not curious enough about it. We don't ask enough questions. And a lot of times, if we choose to be more curious, we can find out that there's more to the story than we're originally thinking. Curiosity is one of the most valuable things we have as humans when we engage it fully and we choose to be more curious about literally everything. The results are amazing, especially when we turn them inwards and become more curious about the messages we've internalized about life, the stories we've told ourselves, and why we are where we are. Number 4 would be the power of integration. And what I mean by that, we're going to use the inner critic as an example here. But what I mean by the power of integration is you hear your inner critic speaking to you, and a lot of people, their inclination, their gut feeling is to either kill that voice, that inner critic, or to banish them, to put them somewhere like behind a door, somewhere where they can't affect you anymore. That's the feeling you want. But you'll notice that never happens. It doesn't happen for anybody. Right? You cannot kill that part of yourself off because it's part of you. And you also can't banish it, because even though you might feel like it's locked behind this door and you're not aware of it anymore in the same way, all that happens is it exerts influence on you while you're unaware. So how you integrate that is back to the top point. You're curious. You ask more questions. What is it that the inner critic is there to do? What is the goal? The goal is often going to be something to do with protecting you. So there's always a protection element there. But when you identify that, you can then integrate that inner critic by allowing it to be present in your awareness, but taking away its control, because now you know what the goal is, and you can see when that inner critic is overactive and just too zealous and too eccentric, and you can just say, well, thank you for that. I don't need this particular piece of information. Then other times you can let that voice come in and say, thank you, I did need to hear that, and I can do better on this. But that integration, allowing it to be there in your awareness, but not have control, and to understand who that voice is and what it's there to do and the intent behind it, that is a very powerful thing to have. Okay, number 5, the last thing on the list, but as important as everything I've mentioned so far, is self-acceptance. Now, before you skip past this part, I want to take that word out of the pop culture overused version of what it maybe is associated with in many people's mind and bring it into a practical space. So what do I mean when I say self-acceptance? I mean the ability to take an honest look at yourself and accept what you see without necessarily choosing to believe that's always how it has to be. So what this looks like is something like this. I become aware of the fact that whoever I am today, that is who I am, right? Like I'm that way because of things that I've gone through in my life, choices I've made, circumstances I've been through, things that have happened to me. There's this convalescence of things that have created the person that is here today. And I have to, before I can go anywhere else, I have to be willing to accept that person, because if I don't like that person, think about if you sit down and have coffee with someone and you don't like them, right? And there's a rejection towards you. Can you really help them? Is there any purpose in this coffee meeting at that point? Because you started off with this barrier, right? So in order to be able to work with myself and to improve myself, I first have to accept myself, so that barrier isn't there, that wall between the distinct parts of myself is not there. So I accept that, and then I can accept that I am becoming, right? So it's not just settling back and saying, I'm fine how I am, I'll always be this way, and that's no big deal, and that's fine. When you want to get better at something or become better at something, but I can accept how I am, but also accept that I'm becoming. And that also allows me to do something really significant, which is to change my life by breaking things down to a place where I'll actually do them. So a great example of self-acceptance would look something like this. You'll go to the gym for 2 weeks and fall off. Go to the gym for a week and then fall off for 4. Go, so on and so forth. And the cycle's just repeating and you're never picking up that workout habit. So how can I practice self-acceptance here? Well, I can accept that I'm not where I want to be, and that's okay right now. So I am not, the person who's in shape to the degree that I'd want to be, or the weighs the amount that I want to weigh, or those things, and accept myself right in the here and now in that state. And then I can also look at myself honestly and say, so if that's the truth, then what can I do every single day that makes me one step closer to that? And then maybe that goes down, like I think, well, okay, I'll go to the gym every day, but will you? Right? Let's be honest. Self-acceptance requires an honest look at yourself. So maybe the answer to that is no. Maybe the answer is that's a high bar, actually. If I'm really being honest, that's a high bar. So then I bring it down and I say, well, will I work out 30 minutes at home? And then maybe the answer to that's still no, right? And so then you bring it down farther and then farther. And maybe it comes down to something as simple as, well, to get started, you know what? I'll do 1 push-up or 1 jumping jack every day, no matter what. Even if I don't feel good, even if you're sick, even if you're tired, even if whatever, right? And so can you do that? Maybe the answer to that is yes. And so I can do that and then progress forward. So after a week of doing that, then maybe it's like, okay, well, I'm doing that every day. But then you wake up on Monday and you're like, well, I got way more energy. So you do way more Monday, and then you reward yourself. I did a great job, and you keep that process going. And eventually you end up with a habit where you're actually going to the gym and working out, and you're making steady progress towards the goals that you have. But the way to get there is to have that self-acceptance, because if I live in this space of 1 push-up, that's only for losers, right? And I criticize the hell out of myself for that being the space that I'm in, then I can't really grow, because I'm going to keep setting myself targets that I actually can't meet, right? So that self-acceptance allows me to have a more honest relationship with myself, and therefore to make more progress. So just a quick recap of all the things here. The first thing was to be in the present moment. The second, gratitude. The third was to be more curious all the time. The fourth was the power of integrating. And the fifth is what we just talked about right now. So I hope that you all found some value in that. I hope it was a fun share. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Halloween. If you live these 5 things out, life's just going to get better and better no matter what's happening around you. So God bless you all, and happy holidays.